Recently, I had a career change, was at an orthopedic office with my son because recently he almost broke his foot. We thought he broke his foot and then we had to go to the ER. So I was at the ER. Next day I had to take off of work and I go to the orthopedic with him to do a follow-up. Find out it's not, a break, thank God, but it's a form of like a contusion or a boot. But thank God it's not a break.
Yeah.
But I'm speaking to this woman in the waiting room and we're just getting along. Turns out she has connections in this job that I landed. I get a call like about an hour later after the appointment. They want to offer me the position right away. Obviously, I have to do the background check and all that, but the only way I was able to do that was if I started on the 24th, which is Monday coming up, and that would not have given me a full week 2 week notice at the job that I was currently at.
This is Rock Bottom with Ryan. No sugarcoating, no filters. The pain, the chaos, the truth. No bullshit. Just recovery.
Sober Strong apparel isn't just lifestyle wear, it's battle gear. We rep sobriety like a badge of honor, and every piece you throw on says you're part of the crew that doesn't back down. Every order fuels recovery with 10% donated to treatment facilities. Hit SoberStrongApparel.com and use code ROCKBOTTOM at checkout for 10% off. Stay sober, stay true, rep the crew.
All right. Welcome to another episode of Rock Bottom with Ryan and Rachel. Here with my co-host Rachel Sereni. Rachel, how you doing?
I'm good. How have you been?
I'm doing well. I just got back from California. Saw some friends. Went to a Lakers game. Just had a
Nice.
good time. And spent a lot of time with a close friend of mine, and then was around a lot of alcohol, but didn't take a sip of anything, so that proved a lot. But came
Good,
back,
good.
came
Proud
back
of
in a
you.
much better headspace than I've been in the last month. So there's been a lot of
Mhm.
transitional things and changes, which is the topic we're
Yep,
going to discuss today. So let's talk
yep.
change.
Yes, so I definitely wanna speak on this because it's huge in sobriety, let alone life, right? Like, we all go through change with age, relationships, friendships, that's a form of relationship, jobs and careers, all of it, and in sobriety, you learn how to deal with it differently because sometimes it could be scary, it could be fearful, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why this topic is so important because you've gone through so much recently, and I've been going through a lot actually constantly.
Yeah.
It's just
That's one way to
chaotic.
put it. Yeah.
Yeah, my life is really chaotic. So I don't know. I really don't know how I handled everything I go through when I was in active addiction. Well, I didn't handle it. I didn't handle it. But
Yeah. How
for
did you
me,
handle it back then? Just drink?
yeah, I would just drink and just turn it into a dumpster fire. There was no handling anything. I never handled keeping a job, which I'm about to speak on when that goes to change in career. But when I was in active addiction, no form of change happened at all. I was 221 pounds at the very end. I didn't care about my health. I wasn't present as a mom. It was downhill for me for years. And what about you? When you had change and challenges with that, what about you when you were in addiction?
I didn't deal with it very well because all my go-to was always to numb myself. And every time I was trying to change, like say something would just get chaotic in my life, whether it be like relationships, friends, issues with family, I would always change by moving to a new area, usually in the Seattle
Mm,
area. And I would try to just do a fresh start and meet new
mm,
people. But my first thing I would do though, instead of getting in, a new job and doing all that, first thing I do is find the nearest, hole in the wall dive
bar.
bar that I can, start off and start making a new community of friends. And I would pinpoint it. I would like zero in on it, and I would go in there and I would literally introduce myself, saying I just moved to town, looking for a dive bar to meet some people, and that's how I would just start up the same problem. So it was just like a cycle
Yeah.
on repeat, even if I tried to change. So it just never worked.
So for you, it would be like isolation and then you would just like disappear and then you were okay with just adapting because you had the liquid courage.
Yeah. And I grew up in a upbringing where I was moved around a lot anyways. So
Mm,
like the idea of settling was never, still sometimes to this day is not an easy thing for me. So
right.
trying to just start fresh somewhere, do something new is always keeps me excited, I guess, and gets me
Yeah.
to meet new people and all that. But I don't think it's a healthy way to go about things. So as an adult, I did the same thing. I just moved around every year and then pretty much ghosted a lot of people, which I feel bad about to this day, and then would make new friends
Hmm.
and then sometimes lose those connections as well when I moved on. So it was a really
Right.
weird, just rapid change all the time, trying to transition and grow, but also just repeating the same patterns.
Yeah. That's what it sounds like. And, for me, that type of change, like moving cities, I was born in Boston and I left Boston at a very young age. I did go back to see family here and there. And after my mom passed, I would see them more. But I lived in Florida since I was about 7 years old. And I've been in pretty much the same town since then. And I'm 34. So that type of change for me seems terrifying, but I do wanna do that one day. That's on my list of things to for sure do. I wanna move out of Coral Springs. But,
Do you want to get out of Florida or back to home or somewhere else?
yeah, I thought of going back to Massachusetts because when I'm there, I just feel it just comes upon me. It feels like home, even though it never really was fully home. It's where my ancestors are from on my mom's side, other than Ireland. Like, that's where my mom is. And for everybody who doesn't know, my mom passed away when I was 16. I don't feel her soul or her spirit here in Florida at all. I don't. But when I'm there, I feel her and I'm
That's
around all
awesome.
my family. So I would go there maybe, but the snow. I'm not used to snow because I'm here in Florida. So, I don't know, maybe the Carolinas one day, something like that, but I have to stay in Florida for a little bit.
Yeah. I've been tempted to move to the South, or like my sister lives in Nashville and stuff, and I like the people there. And
Mm,
it's like I don't know if I can like the humidity over there, kind of like in Florida, it's humid, but like I
yeah,
do want to go to a place where people are welcoming and stuff. And going to
the
LA this
South.
last weekend was every time I go to travel to a new place, I'm always thinking, could I live here? And LA, I could
Yeah.
not live just because I'm not. No offense to people in LA, I don't think I fit in LA very well. I don't know if my personality's about that, especially sober. I think it's tough. I learned that
Mm,
LA seems like a big drinking area. It's like I see people going out to lunch and drinking in between, going back to work after drinking. I'm just kind of like, I don't know if I want to be in this. Everywhere you go, there's
yeah.
going to be alcohol and drugs. It's just
Mhm.
sometimes you just know I'm not going to fit in here and I couldn't live here.
I don't think I would. I mean, I don't know. I've never been to the West Coast, but I think I would like it. I don't think I would like it to move.
Yeah.
I'm a up north girl, even though I've been in Florida for so long. If you know me, you know me. I have that personality about me. I'm totally an up
Yeah.
north chick.
One of these days, I'll have to get you to come out to meet me in Seattle, so it's where my own
Yeah,
stomping grounds are, and show you around there. I
I would
mean,
love to.
I don't want to live there again, really, that bad right at the moment. But someday I might move back. I just don't think I'm ready for it this second. But
You'll know.
it's a good city, but it's just I have a lot of memories there of partying too hard, and I could drive into town and just look up 12 to 15 drug dealers I could get something from in 5 seconds. So that's why
That's
sometimes I
why I
avoid it.
don't wanna be here.
Yeah,
That's why I
exactly.
don't wanna be here, and I wanna make that change for sure one day. I wanna make that change for sure. John, my fiancé, he's moved out of state before, actually plenty of times, unfortunately, as well. His childhood was like that and, or teenage years, and he seems to I mean, we started off as long distance, and he made the change to come over here. And we were 3 hours apart. So, he seems like he could adapt, so if he's by my side, I'm sure I'll be fine. And most of my communities on Instagram anyway. I don't really have like really a huge personal community. So yeah, making that huge change of moving it would be awesome. I just have to stay here for two reasons. One, my father's here, and two, my son is 13 gonna be 13 in February, so I have to kind of wait till he's legal. I share custody. I'm not trying to do all that. Me and his father are cool. But I do want to go into the subject deep now
Yeah.
about change.
Let's do it.
Because recently I had a career change, and I'm elated to even announce this, but I got a job, to make better money near my house and kind of more down the career path that I'm going when it comes to patients and helping people in addiction, finally.
Awesome.
So, yeah, it landed in my lap. I was at an orthopedic office with my son because recently he almost broke his foot. We thought he broke his foot, and then we had to go to the ER. That was last week. I don't know, my days meshed together, man. So I was at the ER. Next day, I had to take off of work, and I go to the orthopedic with him to do a follow up. Find out it's not, a break, thank God, but it's a form of like a contusion. It's a bad bruise, a really, really bad bruise. He has to wear a boot, but thank God it's not a break. But I'm speaking to this woman in the waiting room, and we're just getting along. Turns out she has connections in this job that I landed. I got a call like about an hour later after the appointment. They want to offer me the position right away. Obviously, I have to do the background check and all that. But the only way I was able to do that was if I started on the 24th, which is Monday coming up. And that would not have given me a full week 2 week notice at the job that I was currently at. And that was the first job that I really was settled down in early sobriety for me.
Yeah.
And my manager and coworkers, they became family and very supportive throughout my recovery. And it will always hold a big spot in my heart. But I out of respect, I take the job because I need to. I felt it in my soul. I said, you need this change. This is time. You gotta do it. You want to be more successful. You don't want to stay where you're at. You want to grow, right? This is your opportunity, because if you don't take this opportunity, it's going to go somewhere else anyway. So I took the opportunity, and out of respect, I called my manager because I thought we were cool. I thought we were friends. I wanted to let her know before I give a resignation letter, I want to tell you personally because I thought we had that kind of relationship. So I called her. I told her. She goes, "Oh, it's not a full 2 weeks, but I understand you're going to flourish." Very supportive. And then I give my letter, finish off last week. And then the subject of PTO got brought up, and it got a little ugly. And they didn't care, the managers, anymore about my personal needs. This weekend happens to be my mother-in-law, who passed away in June. It's her birthday and her celebration of life, meaning my fiance is not in a good mental space, and he would have had to literally take a train to go 3 hours away while I worked this shift for this company who doesn't give a fuck about me, by the way, finish off the 2 weeks because I'm trying to be respectful and do the right thing. I never did the right thing before. This is the first time in sobriety I've ever done anything correct.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't let me have that day off on Friday. My last day I couldn't take off for my mother-in-law's funeral, basically, to take my fiance. So I said, okay, well, can I use my PTO for the day for my son? And, oh, I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out. We'll find out. There was no we'll find out at all. And it just turned into me saying, you know what? I have to do what's best for me. I'm going to leave. I'm done. I'm done. Because mentally, I need a few days prior to traveling with my fiance for this celebration of life and before I start this new career. So, yeah, is it going to suck for a couple of days pay being gone? Yeah, it's going to be harder for me, but I'll be back on my feet in a couple of weeks and I'll be doing better than ever. So, and it just really hurts deep down because they don't give a fuck about you. You're replaceable in places like that. And that's
I
where
know.
I had to, the reflecting has been going on, and me, like almost silly me, thinking that that person was my friend. She was my manager the whole time. She wasn't just, because if she was my friend, she wouldn't have told me, you burnt a bridge. You burnt a bridge. She knew what type of worker I was. Why would you say something like that to me? So
Yeah,
I felt
really.
very insulted, and I grabbed my purse and I said, I'm done. If I burnt a bridge, why stay? So
Exactly. I
why, that
mean,
help you guys out?
I know, and you wanna feel valued, and then, like, when you get treated like that, you feel like just a number, and, like, in
Yeah.
recovery, we don't wanna feel like we're not significant to certain people, so I'm sure, like, that's probably making the transition a lot easier going to the new job where you get to start fresh, develop new relationships, have a new
Yeah.
career, and, it's probably motivating too to kinda know that
Yeah. Yeah.
go a
It's
place that
it's
you know
just
you're valued.
tough.
Yeah.
Yes, it's just very tough to, like you said, I don't want to feel like a number. And that's what I felt like, okay, well, you know what? Then today's your last day because you didn't give a full 2 weeks. We're not going to give you your PTO. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, damn, like I've been here a year and a half. So when I was about 2 or 3 months into sobriety, 4 months almost, I started there and I was very fresh and weak and still overweight and not happy. I was, in the first 120 days of sobriety. And these people all took me under their wing. I'm still very close to, two of the other people there, and one of them isn't there anymore anyway. She's having a baby, but she's one of my bridesmaids.
Oh,
But
cool.
that manager, she really did hold a place in my heart, I thought. I feel a little bit sad because even though the company may not like that I didn't put a 2 weeks in, she was part of my sobriety journey and she told me I burnt a bridge. And that just hurt so bad because I put my all in sobriety. I just pushed and pushed and pushed to be the most reliable employee. And for a second, she made me feel like a piece of shit. Like, oh, okay, you're replaceable. Like,
Yeah.
but that's not true.
And
That's
that
not true at all.
sucks because you showed up every day and you put your
Yep.
work boots on and you did it, figuratively
Hmm.
speaking. It's just and then when you leave, it's like you leave with a bad taste in your mouth, and that's kind of
Hmm.
sucks, rather than
Yeah.
encouragement for your future, you just feel like you're disposed of.
Yeah. But
That
I mean,
sucks. I'm sorry.
it did, but now it's I'm in a better mindset. Better things to come. But it's a life lesson and it's going to be a huge change because I'm going into a different place that uses a different software that I've never like fully used,
Yeah.
new patients, new types of patients that don't know my face. I don't know their face. At the other place I knew all these patients, they all loved me. And I'm never going to see them again, which makes me really sad. So it's a big change. And this is not something I would have even been able to speak about when I was in addiction because I couldn't hold a job at all. I was in and out of jobs bi weekly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it. And never leaving by giving 2 weeks notice, you just kind of left, right? Yeah,
I
same
either
here.
just kind of left or got fired.
Yeah, I totally know the feeling. I handled it right at my last 9 to 5. I had gotten into an argument with my manager, and it was a pretty bad one. And I got to hear some truth out of him during that argument. And finally, I was just
Mm,
kind of like, an hour later, he came up and kind of talked to me and was kind of apologizing. But I was like, you know what? I honestly don't feel like I'm respected. I'm given my 2 weeks,
yeah,
and he's like tried to talk me out of it, but he was still like, well, I get it. If you want something else for your life, I'll give you a good recommendation because you did work hard. I was like, okay. So it was mainly our personalities that clashed at the time. And that,
yeah,
can't get along with everyone, but it was a
right.
necessary transition because if I didn't quit that job, I wouldn't have gotten back into alcohol, which wouldn't have got me into this podcast.
So thank you to that job so you could get back into alcohol.
Yeah, sort of.
Like,
It's better.
man, I really and I didn't think of drinking after walking out of this place. And that's another thing too. I would have got so shit faced after feeling betrayed by the person that I thought was my friend, who was just really a manager, but she was really supportive. So it's super fucking confusing. It's not
Yeah.
a real friend, I guess. I thought she was really there through a lot. But I really, the old me would have ruined, and I always say the corner store. I don't know why I say corner stores. We don't have many of those in Florida at all. That's a Boston thing. But I would have stopped at a gas station or something like that and got a shit ton of alcohol and started drinking. There was a gas station in the plaza of my job. I could have shit, Publix, the grocery store. I could have went and gotten wine and drove home with that day at
Yeah.
11 o'clock a.m.
And that shows how much we have changed, like that just shows their whole perspective on how you deal with those kind of things is different now. And what did
Yeah.
you do that was healthy, like besides not drink and use or anything?
I went home to go change. I had to process everything because I was in I was having like I don't know how to explain it. I felt like a hyper type of high, like adrenaline. That's fucking adrenaline.
Yeah.
I had adrenaline going through me. So I got home and I went to the gym. But before I went into the gym, I did, and this is also something that's not regular for me. I busted out fucking crying hysterically. I was really upset. Yeah, I wasn't so upset about the job. I was more upset about her saying I burnt a bridge after working so hard in sobriety with the job.
Jesus.
So
Yeah.
I bawled my eyes out. So that was healthy because I don't allow myself to really do that. But then I worked out and I worked out. I took it out
Good.
in the gym.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
I've been going through some transitions lately, including moving and kind of getting, kind of creating some distance with people in my life and stuff. And recently I
Yeah.
went to LA for a few days just to kind of get out of town because I get kind of restless sometimes. And I just noticed how much I've changed over the last 14 months, just based on even just getting on the airplane. And this time around, it was like a bunch of people going to a football game in California, and they were all having screwdrivers and stuff like at 10 a.m. And I was just kind of like,
Fuck.
and then the stewardess thought that I was part of the group and she was about to give me one. And I was like, no, that's all good. And that's how my trip started. And then it's like the hotel I was in, had bottles of liquor just right up on the counter, like within,
Yeah.
right there, just taunting me. And I was just kind of like, I didn't even look twice at them, but like I still stared at them, just kind of like reminiscing about where I would have been a year and a half ago when I saw those bottles. I
Right.
would have drank them into oblivion, like the movie Flight with Denzel, where he gets in that hotel before his
Yeah.
court date and sees all the airplane shots. I mean, I felt kind of like him. I'm like, it's yelling at me right now, but I'm ignoring it finally. And I don't know if I would have been able to do that like 6 months ago or, even 3 months ago, but it's like it's showing that I look at it in a negative light now, which is a huge
Yeah.
change for me because I don't see the positive. I thought about the hangovers. I thought about all the
Yep.
things I would regret and would I tell people? Would I come back to my
Yeah.
meeting? Would I come back to my AA meeting today and like just pretend everything was fine? Like I thought about all these negative outcomes and I'm just like, wow, I really have changed and grown
Yeah.
the last
Yes.
year and a half. And I still run away from my problems. That's a big problem. A big issue in my life is I still kind of run away from them rather than facing them sometimes. So that's something that needs to change in the future. But
Mhm.
still, I think I'm realizing I've changed for the better in a lot of ways, but still have a lot to work on.
Yeah, I mean, we all have stuff to work on. I mean, and change is just going to be a constant part of life. Like it's not always for me going to be just jobs. I mean, for me, it's my life, like I said, is chaotic. So there's hopefully a positive change, not a chaotic change in the next couple of days because I just fucking can't handle that. Well, I
Yeah.
can handle it because I've been doing it, but we're going to get through everything because changes are just inevitable. It's going to keep happening. My son's only going to get older. That's change right there. I'm dealing with a preteen, a teenager right now, and holy fuck.
So how do
So
you have to change as a mother as he evolves?
I would say at this age, I'm very, very happy to be present. He came home today with B honor roll. It's the first time he got honor roll in middle school, not being in the first quarter either. Like, so he really worked hard for that. And I feel extremely proud of him, but I wouldn't have been present at all. Him being a teenager, him seeing him going through phases like he's going through right now and getting little acne. I wouldn't be present. And it's great to be present for sure, but teenagers really will test your patience. Like the amount of times I have to repeat myself just to take a shower. Like I don't understand. Like I know moms or parents in general can relate to this. Like why the hell do we have to tell a teenager to wash their ass 13 times until they actually fucking do it and they drag and they're like mad about doing it? I'm like, why do you want to be dirty?
I
Why? Like,
know.
why? And why do I
I
have
don't
to
get that
repeat
either.
myself, please? I had a long fucking day. Like,
I know.
but yeah.
I could only.
But having a teenager, it's also when he's not being a teenager and hormonal, he's very, very loving. He's my little best friend or tall best friend now. He's taller than me, but my best friend. So I'm so
That's
lucky
good.
to be sober for watching him grow. I missed out on a lot of his childhood, but I'm here now and it's amazing. It's amazing to see his personality. I can't even call it little. It's a big personality and I see a lot of myself, but I also see a lot of his freaking father.
Yeah.
But
No, I get it.
if I was drunk, I would not get to see or notice any of this stuff. And I love it. I love watching him change. It makes me sad. I'm not gonna have my tiny little baby back. He'll always be my baby, but he's changing too.
Yeah, and you kinda had to evolve from, like, the, maternal mother, like, him growing up and being little, and then, like, now he's becoming a teenager, so you're kind of evolving into being more of his friend and, being more
Mhm.
understanding and all that stuff, so that's a cool change.
Yeah.
I'm not a parent, so I don't get it, but it's really cool to hear, like, how mothers have to evolve for their kids. My mother, I'm a mama's boy, self-proclaimed, very proud of it.
That's awesome.
And she and I, have a great relationship. But I think she still treats me sometimes like I'm still like 15 or 16. She'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're just such a great boy. You're so
Mm,
proud of you, this and that." I'm just kind of like, you know what? I don't care if she still talks to me like I'm little. Love her to death, and I'm just happy to have a good relationship with her. So
definitely. I mean, I it makes me like I know one day my son's gonna be, your age and the thought I can't help but think and being an addict myself and you tell me your opinion on this, but it wouldn't be my fault if he picked up anything because he would have to do that on his own choice, but I've taught him so much and he's seen so much and I would pray on God that maybe he will never touch alcohol or a drug, right? But in reality, we don't know what is going to happen with our children when they leave this house and what crowd they start hanging out with. All I could do is just keep leading him the best I can, let him know he has a safe place to speak to me, and he saw a lot of shit with me. So and I have talks with him all the time. You just keep the line of communication open for sure, but I'm terrified of that.
yeah, no, I totally get it. Yeah, I don't. I would, being a mother, you probably are worried that you're never gonna have to like take him to rehab someday or tell him
Mm,
find drugs in his room or something. It's like you're worried about that, but
no.
I feel like us being former addicts and you being his mother and being a former addict and alcoholic, like I feel like he's getting a firsthand look at how much work you had to put into yourself
Yeah.
after being an addict, and I think that's gonna like sit with him, and he's gonna think about it before he does things. So sometimes I think
Yeah,
it's a
I mean,
blessing.
for sure. Oh, yeah, I think it is too. I mean, Gabriel saw me very drunk. He was also very young. And I did put him, obviously, I've shared this before. I did put him in serious situations while I would still drive drunk with him in the car. It was really horrible. And I'm glad that I made the change I did. But he saw so much of my breakdowns when I was drunk because, I don't cry easily now, but when I was drunk on the like, I could cry no matter what, like, hysterical snot cry.
Yeah.
So, Gabriel saw me, like, literally cry about, my mother and things like that, things that were unhealed parts of me and why I was drinking. He saw me cry out for my mom, or he saw me crying about bills because I couldn't hold a job. I'm at the age of, like, 9 or 10. And, we talk about it now all the time. And he tells me, yeah, like, I know that you were very sad. I know you were a very sad person, but you're so different. I see so much change in you. My own son sees the change. He's my best friend. He follows Rock Bottom with Ryan. I asked him not to watch the episodes all the time because
We talk about a lot of stuff.
but that's what I mean though. I don't sugarcoat anything. I'm not like talking about pounds of cocaine and stuff like that with my child, but I am sharing what's in alcohol, what it does to your body, what it does to your brain. Like I'm kind of putting it in his mind what medically happens and what was
Yeah.
happening to me.
Yeah. I mean, the show is we try to keep it kind of educational, and conversational, but the stuff we talk about is real and it really happened to us and it
Yep.
really sent me to rehab, sent me to jail, hospitals, it sent you down
Yeah.
different routes too. And it's like we want people to know how bad it really gets. And a lot of our listeners are probably like people that have been through it. And they're like, we're just confirming what happened to them. But I almost like, I'm not going to encourage people under 18 to watch the show, but I mean, I'm just like,
Yeah.
sometimes you got to hear what's really happening and what happened to us,
Yeah.
because here we
Yeah.
are now doing a podcast, and we've changed a lot in our sobriety. You're going on 2 years soon, and I'm going
Yeah.
on 18 months. Will be in a few months. And I'm just kind of like, I am a whole different person now. Like, even if I look at who I
Yeah.
was when I was drinking, I'm just kind of like, my whole mentality is different, and people I talk to are different.
Mhm.
The way I go about my day is different. And it's like,
Yeah.
and you don't want your son to have to do all that, put in the work that we had to put in, because it is a long road back uphill, once you hit rock bottom.
Yes. When you do hit rock bottom, no, but seriously, and I never want that. I mean, I don't want that for anybody, but obviously my own child. I do see him kind of going down the route with eating and not exercising as much as he used to. He shouldn't weigh what he does. And I've been trying to push that, and I try to lead by example. I don't have junk in my house, but I share custody. I can't control fully what's going on at his father's,
Yeah.
but he also is at the age where he can make decisions on this on his own, and he knows the health risks, and he doesn't listen. So I'm getting fearful about that. So I would love, when his foot is healed, it should be another week or two. I'm gonna start going for walks with him. I go to the gym at 5 a.m. anyway and do my training, but I will go for walks after school and after work with him. I'll have the time now to as well, and do half an hour. I'll start with 20 minutes, maybe half an hour with him, and just do it 4 days a week with him. And in my home, we're only going to have healthy foods just until, and we're going to use the wedding as a motivation. I don't call him, hey, you're fat, like you need to lose weight. I don't want to put that in his head at all. That's not what I mean. It's just more so being healthy. I want him to be healthy. And I was not healthy at the end of my, drinking career. And I don't want him to be, sick.
Yeah.
So
No,
he needs
I
to make
completely
those
understand.
changes too.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, even at his age, he's gotta make changes so that they don't lead to, worse things later in life. Like, once you start developing good habits at a young age, it's gonna lead to better
Yeah.
habits when you're older. And I came from a complicated mixed family as well, that were parents divorced. So I had one set of structure at one house, and then another set at the other house. One house I was eating healthy, the other house I could eat what I wanted, and it was always kind of
Right.
one house I had rules, the other house I didn't have rules, and it was just kind of like I never knew what to do. So
Yep.
we always got to keep in mind that he is being juggled around in a sense.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if you change your life around and you don't drink anymore and you exercise, you take care of yourself, he's probably having to make adjustments, just like my mom's doing all these
Yeah.
things now, but she wasn't a couple of years ago. So
Mhm.
he's got a lot to adjust
Yeah.
to too. So we got to take that into mind.
Yeah. For sure. And he's super impressed by me in the gym, and he talks about he wants to do it, and then this injury happens. It's like we start talking about it, and then something happens to where he can't. So I'm going to take it very seriously on my end, just because of his health, and he is being juggled around. He is going to have to make that change. I don't want it to turn into depression, which could lead into bigger issues, and that he could already be there. I tried to talk to him as much as possible. He doesn't seem to be, but he could be, and that could lead to substance abuse. So I have such a fear of that. I mean, I should probably work on that, because he's such a good kid. And when I talk to him about it, he's like, I have no desire. He literally is like, no offense, but I have no desire to act the way you did. He has said that
That's
before.
good. That's good. And
And I'm
even,
like,
I mean, I'm
good.
sure that hurts to hear, but at
Hurt
the
a
same
little bit.
time, it's bittersweet, because you're gonna like, oh, I
Yes.
mean, I'm glad he
I said, oh, I did that.
at least his eyes are open, but
Hmm.
you're like, damn, he's calling me out too.
Yeah, it's like, fuck yeah, okay, cool. You don't want to be like me in that aspect, but damn, like, damn, you saw
Yeah.
that. He is
Yeah.
actually, I think, I wouldn't be surprised if Gabriel goes into some form of counseling therapy, some type of, when he's older, talking to people. He's very intellectual, and he's a good listener, and he loves to motivate people. So I could see him doing that.
Yeah.
And he will be okay. He's going through a whole hormonal thing too. So, but
Gotta take that into
it's just,
consideration.
yeah, and
Oh,
it's just
when
crazy
I
to
was
think
turning
about.
13, I would snap at everything. I was so
God,
freaking, yeah, I'm not even going to use any mental health terms, but I'm just saying I was all over the place. You could say one
huh?
thing that was something and I would be sensitive to it and be like, what the hell did you just say? And my dad would be like, what happened to you? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm probably going through puberty. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I was actually a devil teenager. My dad, like everybody, I was the teenager from hell.
You were
But I'm
possessed.
also a female, so it makes it a little bit worse. I hear that female teenagers, which I was one, way worse, I feel hormonally. But yeah, I was a raging like psycho well, no, as a child, said some dark things. I mean, straight up, I'll say it right here. I walked around in a trench coat in fourth grade. So,
Jesus.
but literally, I don't know. My kid is he's so intellectual. I don't feel like I have to knock into him the fear because he's seen it all. He didn't see me get
Yeah.
arrested or anything, thank God. But he was in the car
Yeah.
when his father came to pick me up from jail. He was 2, but he doesn't remember
Yeah.
that.
He got a firsthand look at what addiction
Mhm.
can do to you, but he also got a firsthand look about how you can change. And I'm sure
Yep.
like he looks at all of that and he's like, yeah, people can change. And he's like, maybe I could experiment with something. Hopefully that's not the case, but that tends to be the case. But he at least knows the repercussions of
Yeah.
addiction and what's going to happen. And he knows how much work it takes to crawl out. It's good. At
Yeah.
least he's paying
He
attention, he's not just like pretending nothing happened and being like, Mom, it's okay, you were fine. He's actually like,
No.
no, Mom, I don't want to be like that.
Like, I never wanna be like that, and his, biological father, his dad, who is in his life, I don't know why I said biological father, his dad's in his
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. Because John is a male influence in his life. So
Yes,
yeah.
John is his stepfather, and then we have Carlos, his father, who is a friend of mine and a great father to him, just we didn't work out because honestly, straight up, I was a fucking raging alcoholic and I was abusive. And I changed with my relationship in that too, though.
Good.
I don't do that shit in my relationship now. But that's neither here or there. But he doesn't, Gabriel doesn't see Carlos drink at all either because Carlos was never a drinker or isn't a drinker. So
Oh,
Gabriel
okay.
really doesn't see drinking much anymore. And John heartily drinks.
That's good.
So I'm happy about that. But I mean, the day in the life of how much change has happened with me, I could talk about personally of what it was like in active addiction to the change now, what my daily routine is. Well, I didn't
Yeah.
have a routine. So, and I'm big on telling people find one, get one, find a system and routine that works for you. And you don't have to turn into a gym nut, like to stay in sobriety. Like that's not a necessary thing, but I do encourage
Exactly.
moving your body,
Yeah.
whether there's so many different forms of it. Just find
Keep
something you
moving.
like
Just
to do.
walk. Stay busy. Yeah, exactly. What kind of
Something.
you're getting married, not long from now and doing all that. What are like some changes you're working on now or plan to make before that happens in the next 6 months or so?
In our relationship or like towards the wedding or
In general, just changes in yourself that you really want to make that you haven't made yet, or things that you're hoping that will get better as far as how you're working on yourself.
well, for myself, I mean, I've talked about it before, but I'm trying to get more I don't want to say jacked, but more toned up for my dress, but that's not the point of the marriage. So I'll bring this into the podcast that my fiance, John, he is not an addict, never was. So he doesn't understand fully recovery. He just doesn't. He can't comprehend it. But you would think, by now you need to go learn about it. Like that's it. So we did have a big talk recently and we're going to be taking premarital courses. I don't really know what that even entails. We're not into religion, so it's non-religious. So I'm not sure what this is going to entail then. But, premarital courses, and we both believe that in a household, we both, because I work, he works. So we do 50-50 in the household. But I still tend to cook more because I just feel like that's just what I do. It's my culture and that's what the fuck I do. And I clean more. But John's a huge help. There's no huge gender roles in my house. But he needed to realize before we get married and tie the knot that a big change for him is I need to understand recovery. So he's going to be learning about that and we're going to take premarital courses just so I guess I'm going to learn how to be a wife, whatever the fuck that means because I've been with him going on a decade.
Yeah.
But And for you though, now that you're settled in to your place though, do you have any changes in mind for you next? Do you have another change?
As far as changes, I just really want to stop trying to force things as often, like expect results so fast without actually putting in the work. And that's been my problem, even like from the podcast. That's been my problem since I got sober. I expected so many things to just kind of come to
Mhm.
me as opposed to working on them. But things will come to me, kind of like back when we talked about patience, just kind of letting things flow a little bit.
Mhm.
I'm going to try to really work on. I thought about this a lot on the airplane yesterday. I was just like, when I get back home and get back into working on this show and talking to you and just going back to my meetings and getting in the flow of things, to just set my routine again, get back, like not try to do too much, not try to have these expectations that I have to have this done for the podcast. I have to have this done. Like,
Mhm.
I just have to remember I don't have specific deadlines all the time for
Right.
anything, whether it be the podcast, whether it be, communicating with friends. It's like nobody's putting me under
Yeah.
any pressure but myself. So my
Yeah.
goal and my changes I want to make is just to sit back and relax and let things come to me and put in a little bit of work, but at a good pace.
Awesome. Good. So
Yeah.
you
Just
have
not
a
try to do too much.
GPS.
Yeah, GPS, exactly. Was it goal plan
Yes.
system? Goal priority
Yep.
system? Okay. Yeah.
Goal plan
Yeah.
system.
We had that for listeners, we did an episode about that recently a couple weeks ago. So if you guys
Mhm.
want to check that out. But no, this is
Yes.
awesome. I really like the changes we've made, We're always working on ourselves in recovery, but in general, we're always working on ourselves. And I think this is helpful for people that aren't even in recovery, because we're always
Yeah.
evolving, we're always making changes, and we have to adjust a lot of the time. And some of the changes we are up to us, but some of them aren't up to us. Yeah,
Life is going to life. Life is going to
yeah,
life, and welcomed and unwelcome changes are going to happen. They're going to occur throughout the rest of your life. It's just how are you going to handle them? How are you going to handle it? Are you going to go drink them away when you're uncomfortable, or are you going to face them head on?
good. Well put. Are you going into this job with a different attitude? Are you changing anything about how you're approaching your new career, or are you going to go in kind of the same as before, or how you, based on what you learned at your last job, how are you going in?
So I'm going in with the same mind frame of being professional, being reliable, being a good employee. That's not going to change about me. If anything, it's going to get better. I am fearful, and this could be bitterness. I am a little bit fearful always about when it's time to move on, though, and giving them my heart and my reliability and being such a good worker that I'm just a number. So, I have to change my perspective on that, that it is kind of true. It is just a number game. I mean, I could be there for 4 years, let's say, that's fine, but there will be another person that will take my spot eventually. Like it's a
Yeah,
business.
yeah,
So, yeah, it just sucks. Now I could make a bond with my new manager and it could be genuine. I mean, this has happened before. I do have a manager who's like a big sister to me. That was my manager like when I was 19 years old. She's still in my life. I don't talk to her often, but I could call her if I needed her. And she's the only one that stuck around, though. She's the only one that I connected with. And maybe this time, this job will bring me a best friend because I've been longing and asking God and the universe for somebody in my life to come around, a female. I have so many men in my life. No
I was gonna
offense,
say, I
Ryan.
thought I was your best friend. That
Yeah,
makes me
no
sad.
offense. It's all men. I need feminine like energy. Just one. I don't need a whole
Yeah,
bunch. Just one feminine energy girl that's, I don't she doesn't have to she could drink occasionally, just don't drink around me. Don't have a drinking problem, I guess. But, you know, be into working out, just have similar things, and I just want a bestie, somebody I could have a charcuterie board night with.
exactly. You heard it here first, listeners, that Rachel is open for friendships. So
Yep,
reach
so
out to
DM
her.
me.
Real talk with Rachie.
Please DM me. But yeah, preferably Florida because I want an in-person connection. But I am always, and I say this as often as possible, though my DMs are open. Seriously, I'm open to being friends with everybody. You could talk to me about anything. I'd never judge. But yeah, my DMs are always, always open, and I genuinely care about people. So don't think you're ever a bother.
Yep, mine too. My DMs are always open. I'm not as interesting as Rachel and as entertaining, but I got bad jokes and all that stuff, and I'll cheer you up or
I'm
whatever.
so
But
dead.
hit up Real Talk with
I'm a
Rachie
little
too.
off my rocker. Yes,
We're
real
all a
talk
little
with
crazy
Rachie.
around here. That's one thing I'm
Yes.
learning. The longer we do this show, the more people I interact with. And I have to remind myself sometimes we are all former addicts and we all still have our quirks because we're former addicts.
Yeah.
Like none of us are like perfectly stable in a lot of ways, which is, I won't use the term unstable, but I'm just saying we're all just a little crazy in some way. And I like
Yeah.
it. So
I
everybody
mean,
can
I can
relate to
speak
each
for
other.
myself. I can
Yeah.
speak for myself. I'm unstable, but stable at the same freaking time. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I have
Yeah.
ADHD like hell.
Same here. I forgot we were doing a podcast right now.
Hey, but seriously, you found that out. I found that out in sobriety. So that's another change. Learning to cope with mental illness without
Exactly.
medication.
Yeah, I know.
Because Adderall for me was I used to abuse it and I didn't even know I had ADHD when I was doing that. So no wonder I was in hyper focus mode. But I was drinking
Mhm.
on it. I would take it.
Yeah.
I would take Adderall to keep me up because I thought it would make me less drunk. It was the same effect as Coke. Kinda gave me the same feeling as Molly. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
No, I know. I
I
was
don't know what that
prescribed
would be
Adderall
like.
too. Yeah,
I
I
wasn't
was prescribed
prescribed
it
it.
too. Oh, I was prescribed it. I would drink on it for the whole 6 years that I was prescribed it, and my doctor would UA me every time I'd go see her, my psychiatrist, and I
Oh
would always
shit.
ask her like, why do we have to do this? Like I don't legally have to do that. She's like, well, because I want to make sure you're not drinking on it. And I was like, well, what's wrong with drinking on it? And then she's just like, well, it causes a chemical imbalance in your brain, and your brain starts to not work for one thing, and it starts to just like affect you over time. And I'm like, crap, but so every time I would go
Mm,
in there to see her once a month, I would not drink for the 24 hours before. So I'd pass the UA, but I would still drink, soon right after the meeting sometimes.
yeah.
And I would just be like, okay, well, I don't
Like
know what
what the
it's doing to
fuck?
my brain, but I do know I've been a lot more stable since I stopped that and drinking. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it because I'm not against it because, it's a medication for a reason. I just abused it so bad that now, I mean, I do, and I'll openly say I take Strattera because it's a non-stimulant, but it doesn't
I've
help.
heard of that.
It's not doing
Yeah,
anything. Yeah, it's not
I've
helping
heard of
me.
Strattera. I used to take Ritalin and it really didn't do much for me as an adult, so they
Mm,
put me on Adderall. But now I don't take any ADHD meds, and I get my mind's still all over the place. But like sober, I'm able to focus a little better.
I
But yeah,
turn into like hyper focus mode, but I just can't like when I'm cleaning my whole house, I'm from room to room to room to room. I get it all done, but I like go from task to task to task. But it's a lot on the brain, especially when we're stressed out. I notice with ADHD, when you're more stressed and you have a lot more going on, the ADHD is worse. It's worse to focus. So, yeah, I'm doing it with Strattera and doing natural remedies. I put timers, upbeat music, stuff like that to get things done. To get things done, I have to do that. If not, I will literally leave food on the stove or the dryer wide open halfway in the middle of doing a load. So,
nope, I totally get it. I do the same thing. I'm like forgetful. Sometimes I'll be in my meeting or whatever, or talking to somebody, and I'm already thinking about what I'm doing tomorrow or when I'm getting my next tattoo or something. It's like, Jesus, like I need to just sit and focus sometimes. So that's a big
mhm,
change. So that I'm trying to make is just paying attention to what's going on now and not thinking about next week or whatever. And hope, just letting things come to me and just, yeah, paying attention. It's really important.
yeah, definitely.
But yeah,
Definitely.
we
It affects
discussed a
everybody
lot
different.
about change, and I encourage our listeners to definitely don't hesitate to DM us about other topics we can discuss. And
Yeah.
definitely, if you're making changes in your life, I salute you because it's really difficult sometimes to make transitions, whether it's relationships, quitting drinking, new jobs. It all
Yeah.
requires strength and it all requires patience and it all requires just ability and adjusting. So, yeah, I'm glad we
Yeah.
talked about this. Anything you'd like to say before we close?
I will close it with this. It's a statement that I say all the time, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard something similar, but I'll close it with this that without fear and without being afraid and without facing things head on, you're not going to make that change and you're not going to be successful in it because you did not face that fear and do that challenge, because it's going to be a challenge.
I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you for saying that's honestly well said. And I appreciate our listeners. And thanks for watching Rock Bottom with Ryan and Rachel. We'll see you next.
Rock Bottom with Ryan. No bullshit, just recovery.